Hi guys. In today's lab, we will set up Active Directory in our GNS3. We will use this in implementing LDAP in our future lab. As you could see, we already set up our network, from our Cisco router down to our Windows computer. Also, we already installed 2 Windows machine here. One will be the server where we will set up our Active Directory, and the other one to act as our client device. Let's log into our Windows server. Let me just do some adjustments on my screen. Let us open our server manager. First, we need to assign a host name for our server. We will name it DC based on our plan. And then hit OK. We also need to assign a static IP on our server. Right now, we are set to DHCP. Let us assign our IP address manually. We can pick an IP from our VLAN 10. This time we will use 172.16.10.254. This time, we will use 8.8.8.8 or our preferred DNS server, and 8.8.4.4 for our alternate DNS server. Let us double-check our IP. Now let us restart our server. Input our password. Active Directory is not added to Server Manager tools by default, so we need to install it manually. Click Manage and select Add Rules and Features. Then Next. Next. Here it shows our host name and IP address. Select Active Directory Domain Services. Click Add Features. And click Next. We don't need to add more feature for now. Now click Install. We need to wait for a couple of minutes for our installation to complete. Our installation is complete. Let us now click Promote this server to a domain controller. Click Add a new forest. and then type in your domain. In this lab we will use tech.com as our domain. Now hit Next. Input your preferred DSRM password. Make sure to remember this password. You may need it in the future. Hit Next. 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 We successfully passed all the prerequisites. Now we're ready to install it. Click Install. After the installation, our server will restart automatically. Now let us try to log in. As you noticed, our administrator account is already under by our domain tech. In our server manager, click Tools, and then select Active Directory Users and Computers. Click our domain. From our domain name tech.com, we will create our organizational unit. We will use Tech. Inside Tech, we will create an organizational unit for the different departments in our company. This time we will create HR and admin. And then we will also create one user for each department. And then let us create a group. We will add our users to their respected group. From our users, we can also add them to group. Our domain users and groups are ready. Let us now double-check our assigned DNS. It must be automatically point to its local host IP address after we promoted our server as domain controller. Yeah, Let's just add an alternate DNS server. Everything is set in our server. We can now join computers to our domain. Now let us try to log into our client computer and then check our connection to our server. By default, Windows is just a member of a workgroup. In this lab we will join our client computer to our domain. Take note that all client computers must have their unique host name to avoid getting trust relationship error. Before that, let us check the network where our client computer belongs to. This client computer must be in VLAN 11. From here, let us try to ping our server's IP address. Our server's IP address is 172.16.10.254. We are unable to connect to our server. We can try to disable our Windows firewall in our server. Also, we can try to do a reverse ping from our server to our client computer's IP address. Let us also try to disable our Windows firewall in our client computer. Both our server and client computer are unable to connect to each other. Now let us access our firewall and see if we need to adjust our settings or create a rule between VLANs. Since we are using Zone, we can allow all VLANs here to be able to access each other. Let us try to disable block intra-zone traffic and see what will happen. With lock intra-zone traffic disabled, all devices in different VLANs will be able to access each other. But this type of setup is not recommended. Let us turn it on again. Now, connection in between VLAN is closed. Let us do another way to fix our concern. This time, we will create some policies that will let all our devices from different VLANs to access only a specific server in our VLAN 10. Let us name it VLANs to DC. Since our VLANs are membered to a zone, we will use that VLAN zone in both our incoming and outgoing interface. Select all for our source. For our destination, we will create an address object of our DC server. Select All for service. Now hit OK. We expect that our client will be able to access our DC now. Now let us create a reverse policy. We can copy our existing one and then do some adjustments. Let's name it DC to VLAN. Whoa. I forgot to enable it, sorry about that. Now let us try it again. Our server and client computer are able to see each other. Now let us try to join our client computer to our domain. By the way, we can add our domain's IP address to our firewall's DNS so that our firewall will automatically broadcast our domain server's IP address. Take note that our domain's IP address must be set in client computer's primary DNS server. Right now, we are still using FortiGuard's DNS servers. Let us try to reset our connection and see if we can get the DNS server we set in our firewall. Great! We got our domain's IP address as our primary DNS server. Now let us continue joining our client computer to our domain server. Input our domain administrator account. You may also use your other domain account to authenticate as long as you have enough permission to do so. Now let us restart our computer. Let us try to log in a domain account. Great! Now you know how to set up Active Directory using GNS3. That's all guys. Thank you for watching.